Howdy y'all, Nimby here. Just get this in the frame a little better. There we go. Hey Rob, almost always the first one, and I appreciate that, mate. Good morning to you. We're gonna do up a pretty cool pattern this morning. I was gonna do some blue charms, but I didn't get all the golden pheasant prep for it, so probably tomorrow. But we're gonna do a Golden Demon Bucktail today, which is just as cool as it sounds. Alright, so for the start, we're gonna do I'm gonna attempt this with an 8/0, or sorry, a 6/0 black uni. I'm gonna try not to build up too much bulk with it though. Normally I'd have this on a 6, but it has a squirrel tail wing, and the 8/0 tends to bite into the, or sorry, the 6/0 tends to bite into the squirrel tail a little better. So we're gonna start with a 6 and see how we go. Morning, guys. We got Jack Pepper, we got Ewaz, we got Rob. Good to have you all in. Make sure to tap that like button and get things moving already. Glad you enjoyed that streamer, Ewaz. Okay, so for our tail, we're going to be using a golden pheasant crest, like around the shoulders, and basically starts around the base of the neck and then goes around the shoulders of the birds. This kind of brilliant red color. It doesn't take up a lot of bulk, so I got like 3 of them here. We'll see if we need more than one to get the tail going. These ones are a little bit on the damaged side, so I can't use the whole feather, but we're going to use as much as we can. But all the tips are generally about the same length. I'm just going to straighten those out. Snip them off. You can tie in the, so we want it to be a shank length, so it's a little bit shorter than we got there. Yeah, it looks like it might need two feathers to get this to go. If you get them more from the shoulders than the neck, this one came more from the neck. If you get them more from the shoulders, the fibers are a fair bit denser, and you can probably get away with just one feather. The neck will have a little bit more of a vibrant orangey red color to it though. It starts to go more of a brown as you work your way towards the shoulder. I'm just trying to bind that down but keeping it smooth because we do have a tinsel body on this one. Yeah, hit like if everyone, if you don't mind. Helps get more people in. The more people we have in, the more we can get support and help from any of their tying issues that they're having, or just enjoy their morning with a nice cup of tea and some tying. Yeah, there's not much left. You can see there's not a whole lot left on this one's pretty tattered. The bird must have preened itself pretty hard there. I'm gonna go with a thicker one here. Just give me a moment. Thankfully these are plentiful. I got a bunch to choose from, so. If you don't like the almost synthetic look of the tip of the tail fibers, like they're extremely straight. If you don't like that look so much, you can start to use some of the ones down here, which will give you a lot more of a fluffier, kind of more traditional tail. Downside of using those is they're not, as you can tell, hopefully you can tell from the camera, they don't nearly have that bright shock of red that we're looking for the tail. So, thinking unless you got a really dense, we're tying a golden Golden Demon Bucktail. Trying to say it backwards. Yeah. I'm just trying to get all these fibers lined up as much as I can before I snip it off. How's it going, mate? Happy to have everyone in this morning. Just let me fight with this tail a little bit. Oh! Yeah, please do. Yeah, if you don't know what they are, I might be able to help you out with whatever type of flies they are. That's cool. Either way, I'd like to see them. For whatever reason, I can't. If anyone does post something on my community page and I don't answer right away, I can't seem to answer them on my mobile. I have to answer them on the computer. So, I'm a little bit slower on answering the community posts. I can reply to a reply on my mobile, I just can't. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I can reply to someone else's reply on my community page, but I can't do, like, if there's no other reply there. Like, I know Rob has one floating there I haven't gotten to in a bit. But yeah, for whatever reason, I can't send it to. Oh, okay, Doug. Good for you, mate. That's an early morning. Well, this is a pretty fly. Or it's going to be. Hopefully. We're maker pretty. Alright, guys. Okay, so we're going to tie in. That's nice. I like that. It's supposed to have like a nice stiff tail that's going to, it's tied in like a dry fly, but it's fished as a wet fly. But it has a nice long, robust, I like it to spread out just a hair more than that. That's a beautiful material though, eh? It's got that like really kind of shocky, scarlet red. Oh. Okay, so the next part for this one's going to be the body. We also need to tie in a rib. For the rib, we're going to be using Uni French Gold, a medium. It's probably my most used gold tinsel. I likes it. And this is just a rib, so we don't need a huge amount. We're not covering the whole body. I'm going to go for about a hand length and a half here. Yeah, morning, show flies. And Doug. We got Jack Pepper in here too. Hello, guys. Sorry, just changing my streaming software around a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we're going to tie this in the full length first before we tie in our tinsel. And that's going to give me a minute to straighten this body out here. Sorry, I'm going to redo that. It kind of went a little more on top than I'd like it to. There we go. Trying to tie it in on my side of the hook. I know you guys can't see it. I'll flip it around in a second here. But we want to keep it flat on one side of the hook. That'll help even our body out for when we're doing our tinsel. It's going to be just a flat gold tinsel for the body, and then that's going to be our rib. I'm just going to add a little bit more. This is the point where we're going to start to fill in the holes on the body because we want to have it as smooth as we can for the mylar. Hey Casual, good to have you in, mate. Okay, so that's in, and we're going to tie in our gold tinsel next. Just grab me a length here. Come on. There we go. That'll work. Got one little kink right there. Yeah, I'll go with this side. It's a little less kinky. I'm going to be cutting off a triangle so it has basically a pointed end on it. So I'll take about like a 45-degree cut. Hope you guys can see that just so it's got a little bit of a point to it. That'll make it turn the corner a little better. Yeah, sorry Yoshi, if you posted something I missed it there. I was planning on checking your channel out. If you haven't yet, then I'll check whatever else you posted. Okay, and we can do it two ways here. We can either wrap it, tie it in lengthwise, and then wrap it back. In this case, I'm just going to tie the tag end in there. Be careful while I'm wrapping. I'm going to wrap all the way along and then all the way back, and then we'll rib it with the rib. Where did I put my half hitch? There we go. Yeah, our ice kind of sucks right now. It got to the point where I could fish on it, but it wasn't really that safe. And it's kind of just broken, dirty ice right now. So I'm going to wait until it gets better. And the other lake that I normally fish on, that's, you know, a few more minutes away. That one's just open water. There's no ice at all. So that's another warning sign for me to be careful and not go out on the ice. It's a much bigger lake, though. It takes a lot longer to freeze. I'm surprised because we got down to minus like 18, 23 for a couple days there, and I thought for sure, normally when we get that cold, it makes some nice hard clear ice right away, but it just didn't happen. I guess there was too much heat stored up in the lake because we were warm the week before. I'm actually going to throw, this is moving around a good bit, so I'm just going to throw a dab of head cement on that, on those threads there first. Don't need to, it just adds a little durability to the fly. It can be a hindrance and a downside to the actual tying process though, because it can squish out on you. So be very, very sparing with it. You're just trying to hold down a little piece of plastic. You're not trying to hold a boat together. We'll get this beautiful gold tinsel laid out here. We've got one wrap. I'm not too worried about pop-outs like that, but I'm gonna try and avoid them because we're going back the other direction. Ooh, that's a bad one. Alright, I'm gonna leave that one. I'll get it on the way back. Yeah, exactly. And I think that was our problem, is that we had like several weeks of really warm weather. Yeah, I heard Michigan was getting warm. Come on, buddy. No, not at all. If you just want to do it and you just want to tie, you don't need much of anything. I'm going to be doing some videos on all that shortly here, actually. That's part of my goal for the new year. But fly tying is like almost any other hobby. You can spend absolutely as much you can spend as much or as little as you want on fly tying, just like any other hobby. You can spend thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars, or you can spend almost nothing. The choice is yours. I got one bad nick there. I don't know if you caught it on the camera, but I hit the mylar with the point on the barb there, and it took a little corner out of it. Yep, exactly. And it's just like anything else. The more you spend on your tools and your materials, the nicer they're going to be to work with, technically. But you really don't need to spend almost anything. Yep. One thing I did when I was teaching a class a long time ago, I normally have like a little kit of just cheaper vices for the kids to use and whatever. And I ran out, so I used 2 electric drills and just used the chuck on the drills to hold the flies. And they're heavy enough that they'll, stand up, and they work fine. One thing that works really well if you're really tight on a budget and you can't afford a vise is those X-Acto knife handles that splay out, and you twist the barrel on them to put the X-Acto knife in. Yeah, I'll always start with the cheap stuff. There's no point in starting with the expensive stuff because you don't know what you're getting anyway. Like, no offense or anything, but it's just like any other hobby, right? You're not going to start with the most expensive brushes and oil paints because you're going to just destroy the brush because you don't know what you're doing. And then we all start at the exact same place, mate, so don't feel bad about it. It's not a knock on you or anyone else that's starting. Everyone starts with a bare hook and some thread and a whole bunch of frustration. But working through it and getting to a point where you're enjoying yourself is the whole point. Yeah, I left one good sized nick right there on the belly when I hit the point. But such is life. Let's see if I can smooth it down just a hair. I don't want to wreck it though. It did lay about as good as I think it's going to. Smooth mylar bodies, although it looks like a very simple thing to do, it's actually very difficult. There you go. Yeah, it worked out well. If you got like a big old DeWalt or something, the battery pack's so heavy on it that it provides enough stability to hold it up. I wish I had one handy, but I'm pretty sure everyone knows what I'm talking about. Like it looks like a pen, and then you put your X-Acto blade in the inside of the slit in the pen, and then turn the collar, and it'll hold the fly extremely tightly. And then you can have a board, and then drill a hole in the board so it's hanging on an angle like that, And you have a really good makeshift vise for like, you know, $1. And it'll hold like nice smaller hooks. It wouldn't hold something probably this big, but it's enough to get you started for like $1. But you know, all those things are, yeah, I guess you could actually use it as a rotary vise. I didn't really think about that, but I guess technically it could be turned on and used as a high-speed rotary. That's kind of funny, actually. So I'm just doing some open wraps. This is just to throw some light. I don't want these to be super tight or anything. This one's mostly for steelhead and salmon. I'd say probably more on the steelhead side, but I'm sure like sea run cutthroat would be really good for this too. Um, would probably upset a big brown trout enough for it to nail it as well. This is a traditional steelhead fly. Do I have notes on who originally tied this? I was actually originally dressed from a gentleman from New Zealand. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Like the vise I'm tying on is a $1,000 vise. I would never pay $1,000 for it because that's like a car. But I was lucky and I got it for 40 bucks. That being said, though, if it's a business for you or something that you're doing daily, you might want to invest that much into a vise. That's going to last you a lifetime. However, it's kind of a trade-off on whether that's going to be a good investment for you or not. Like I tied, I want to say at least my first 10,000. In Belgium? I assume brown trout would be the same regardless of what location they're in. The only difference I would check in Belgium is their spawning cycles are probably different than they would be here. So when you're getting closer to their spawning cycles, you want to have brighter colors, a lot more red, a lot more orange, a lot more yellow and pink, or not pink. Well, yeah, you can use pink too. But you want a lot more brighter colors when you're getting closer to their spawning cycles. Not only do they key in on those colors because they're spawning and they're similar to eggs, but they get very territorial. And if anything bright colored swims by them, they'll nail it, just not trying to eat it, just trying to tell it to bugger off. So if you're anywhere close to their spawning cycle, you want to use colors, bright colors like this. So oranges, reds, shiny colors. So we're going to be using this orange spay hackle, and we're going to be using this for beard. So we're going to turn the fly upside down. And we're going to get this nice long fluffy stuff on either side. I'm going to get 2 gatherings of it. And what I'm doing is I'm just pulling it down a bit because you can see it goes up on an angle. And if I pull it off like that, then the tips aren't going to be aligned very well. They'll be all on an angle as well. So if you're pulling it down and away from yourself, you can see the tips will line up better. Of course, as I'm saying that, they're not playing ball. There you go. So the tips will line up better, and you can grab the tips, grab the feather, and just release it. I don't think this first batch is going to be enough, so we're probably going to tie in 2 batches, one from the left side, one from the right. But we'll see how we go. Yeah, that's not going to be enough at all. Okay, one second. We'll get the other batch, and I'll line the 2 of them up. Na, 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 na. Okay, so same thing. Grab the feather, pull this down. But yeah, like if you're brown trout really like flashy stuff, in my experience, especially around here. So if you're not fly fishing, they work really good on what we call T-spinners here. And basically it's like a big wedding band or a big spinner flasher in gold or bronze. If your waters are really shaded or dirty, then a copper color can work. a little bit better than the bronze when it's darker out. Okay, so I got all the fibers. Hope I can show you this without spilling it everywhere. Just kind of laid in there. That's going to help me to arrange all the tips. There we go. Now the tips are relatively the same. Now I'm just going to pack it kind of like you'd pack a snowball. And that'll help to get all the rakuses lined up so that some of them aren't going left and right, and they'll want to lay in a straight line like that. Not always, but it helps. So I'm going to be laying it on here, and I want to have this pointing basically at the point. So that gives you your length, is you want it basically up to the point. And I'm going to be bringing my thread up. I'm going to do what's called a soft wrap. So I'm actually going to catch my thread in my fingers. So you can see the thread's just loose there. And I'm going to go straight down and exactly on the other side of the hook from where the thread started, and then just pull down. And that'll lock it in, see? And you want to be careful with the hook while you're doing that, obviously. That's what it calls for a nice bright orange beard. That's what we call a beard. Can you guess why? There we go. That's very true. Yep, if you can match the hatch, as they call it, you'll probably have a lot more luck. Thanks. Oh, you hit 100 subs, Casual? Cool. Congrats, man. You have a good day. Thanks for stopping in, mate. Always a pleasure to have you in. Okay, I'm just burying this in a little bit, but I'm not really trying to do a whole lot with it. We don't want to build our head up. I probably am building my head up a little too quick there. Like I said, I would normally tie this on with a 6/0 thread instead of an 8/0. The 8/0's a little bit thicker, but it'll also let me do this next part without as much frustration. And the next part is our favorite on this channel, the squirrel tail, which is extremely slippery. It's a wonderful fur. It has this really nice colored texture pattern, so when you tie it in, you get these really nice colored tips, but then like a black dark chunk after. So it's a really nice material. I really love tying with it, but it is challenging. It's so slippy. It just wants to slide out from your thread. So I got enough stacked here. I pre-cut some just to save some time. I pre-cut enough for hopefully 2 flies. So we have them stacked on the stacker. You see how nice all those tips lined up there? Nice and flat. So I'm going to pull this out and we're going to half this. That's too much for one fly. We don't need a huge wing on this. There are flies where you'd use that much for sure, but not on this one. So I'm going to just try and separate that. We'll say like there. That's probably enough for another one. In the stacker you go, sir. Okay. Yeah, so what we're looking for when you're cutting it from the squirrels, you want to try and find a section that has that nice orange. Again, we're trying to get the colors in this fly. It can be hard, don't worry, wee man. It can be hard to keep up with everyone in the chat. I definitely feel that. Okay, so we want this a little bit on the long side. We want it to come up about halfway on the tail. And it's a long tail, so it's a long wing. So right about there, that'll do. And just like the last one, I'm going to do a nice soft wrap around it. If I can get it past my finger. There we go. I'm going to try and get that right on top if I can manage it without it slipping down. I'm going to fix the beard if I do knock the beard over a little bit, but... Yeah, red squirrel, you got it. We've been using gray squirrel for a while. I'm switching to red now. Okay, we're going to lose a few fibers here. The short ones that fell down. There we go. That's good. Not going to interrupt the fly at all. So we got that in there actually really good. So now I'm going to put some resin. You don't want resin on your first wrap if you can help it. I mean, if you need it, you need it. But if you can get away with getting it positioned without the resin, it'll allow the thread to slide a little more and get a nice locking wrap on there. I'm going to put the resin on here. This is already wax thread and it's still slipping, so we're going to add a little resin there. That's violin rosin, sorry, not resin. Well, technically it's resin, it's pine sap. But this one's actually birch mostly. I need to make some more. That might be something I might add to the shop when I get my shop set up, is making some proper fly tying resins. Or rosins, sorry. It's hard for me not to say resin because it is a resin, but when it's formed into a block, it's a rosin. Okay, I'm just going to gently cut that on that 45 like that. Ugh. Squirrel can act so nice to you and be like your best friend, and then all of a sudden it'll just be like, nope, I'm not doing, nope, we're not going to do that today. So I'm going to tie this in, and what I'm trying to do now is I'm going to be taking my thread, and a lot of times I'll have to use my thumb to kind of hold the thread in the middle. I'm cutting into that little bunch of fiber. Thank you. I'm cutting into the middle of that fiber. Sometimes it's easier than others. By fiber, I mean the squirrel tail butts that we cut off just a moment ago. And I'm just trying to just capture... Yeah, I'm going to do that in a second here once I bind a few of them down. Okay. Thanks for reminding me, or I probably would have forgotten where's my super glue. There we go. I actually found it. Or the wife found it for me. You can use head cement too. Head cement just takes longer to dry than the super glue. The downside of the super glue is you have to make sure you thread wrap on top after, because it will it has a tendency to turn white. And of course it went right into my eye of the hook. Of course it did. Why would it go anywhere else? Jeez. Okay, let's get that cleared out before it turns into a solid hole. 1 second. I like that applicator because it normally doesn't do that, but I probably should have shaken it before. I think it was just the thinner glue was on the top of the bottle because I've had it sitting there for a little bit. But if you use a racus, this is just the racus from a feather that I stripped off. And if you use the racus from a feather, it'll stick to the racus like it's doing and pull the glue away so it doesn't just make a hole. There we go. Hopefully that'll be happy. We'll give it a second here to set because I don't want it sticking to my fingers. She looks good though. Okay. Yeah, I used that one. And not that I don't like it, I just don't have it right now. I pretty much only use the super glue for like salmon and steelhead patterns where I'm gluing eyes on and that kind of thing. And this one normally works pretty good for me. The other thing with this applicator is you get like I don't know, not like you get a lot, but I think you get about 3 times as much as the bottle per price per milliliter, yada yada yada. Okay, so the original pattern calls for jungle cock, which I don't have enough of to use on a pattern like this. So we are going to be using starling, because starling is plentiful. It's legal in Canada. It's actually an invasive species. And we're going to use those 2 little white tips as a substitute for the jungle cock, as they float away on me. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to grab the tip. And of course, it's always fun after you've been handling super glue. You never know if you got any on yourself. And I'm just going to be stripping off all that fluff. And these are just ornamental. They're just to imitate an eye, basically, or a gill plate or a fin. So you don't need a whole lot. I'm going to be stripping it right down almost to that white. And see, I got a little bit more to strip off here. And depending on your preference in the pattern, you can leave them thicker or you can leave them smaller, but I like them about like that. So it's very similar to a jungle cock, without the associated price and or crazy whatevers. They're not illegal in Canada. They don't come from Canada, they come from Africa. And they're not like endangered or anything, they're just a regular chicken and there's plenty of them running around there. But they just have import laws on them because a lot of bad trade and importing was going on. So I support it. I don't think we should be doing those kind of nasty practices to get feathers. And I don't need them. We can use starling. So you can see this one here, I got just a little bit more to get on the top. That's pretty close. So there's our 2 there. And we're going to tie these in as little cheeks. And we only need 1 or 2 thread wraps to hold these in. Hopefully there's a little bit of tackiness from that super glue still. We want to have them just up into the wing. Just a little bit. Like right there should do. Yeah. I don't have anything against starlings, but they do cause no end of problems for the harvest crops around here. Because normally we try to plant as early as we can, and we'll get huge swarms of starlings come through, and they'll eat everything. They'll dig the whole thing out. My grandfather, who was a farmer here, used to absolutely hate them. But like I said, I don't have any hate for them. I just wait for the starling swarms to go away before I plant. Then you lose that extra week or so of germination you could get. Well, personally, I'd never hunt crow because they're a really smart animal. And I don't know, just personally, I don't think it's right. Yeah, goose bites too. Yeah, you can use like a Sharpie marker and just mark it up a bit. I've done that for sure. You want to use goose though, or turkey, because you want to have a bit bigger bite, right? So I normally do that with a white turkey, and then I'll Sharpie marker it in with an orange Sharpie and a black Sharpie, and leave the original white quill to show through. And they take the glue from the Sharpie, or the ink from the Sharpie, quite well. Okay, so there we go. Got 2 little cheeks on there. I'm going to try and turn this without having it come apart on me. You can see the cheek on either side. And now I'm just going to hold this together gently, just so it doesn't move around so much. Yeah. Now that being said, if you got some on your property that are causing problems, then all gloves are off, but... One thing that keeping animals, like I have a lot of birds, and I've kept other animals. There you go. Um, but one thing I've learned by keeping animals too, especially birds, is I get way more feathers by keeping the bird alive and picking the feathers up as they drop than I would ever get harvesting the bird. Because they shed their feathers several times a year. So as long as you're out there picking them up, you can get buckets of feathers. And crows and all that are the same way. You can just go walk around your park, you know, or wherever your crows are hanging out, and you can get lots of feathers that way. Not to mention, like someone mentioned, roadkill and other accidents that happened. Every crow that's alive now is not going to be alive in 12 or 14 years because they're going to have an accident or nature's going to take its course. So, best to wait for that to happen. Yeah, they love anything shiny, for sure. They're a really cool little animal. And a magpie is pretty much just a pretty crow. They're definitely a lot more mischievous, though, I will say. Just trying to find my whip finish. Oh, guinea hens are cool. I like guinea hens. I wouldn't mind having some. I don't know how they do in the winter here, though. I know they survive in the winter here because we have them wild here. They're not native to here, though. They were brought in by hunters in the Okanagan area. And they've come over here. They come on the trains, actually. They follow the grain trains. And they eat all the grain that falls off the grain trains. But wherever train tracks are, there's gobs of quail and pheasant and that kind of thing. There you go. Yeah, we got gobs of magpies here. They're cool feathers. I mean, I don't have very many patterns I would ever tie with magpie feathers, but I'm sure there's some. I should look into that, actually. But I don't have much for magpie feathers. They're a neat looking bird, though, and beautiful feathers, so I'm sure there's got to be something out there. There we go. We got our nice... My one kind of disappeared there in the fur. 1 second. Let's see if I can pop it out of there. We were just talking about how a squirrel doesn't like to behave sometimes. That's kind of funny. It could just kind of buried itself right in the squirrel. Haven't actually had that happen before. I'm surprised I haven't had it happen before, but... That's a good one, thanks. I needed that. It just doesn't want to stay on top of the squirrel. Why are you being a booger? Oh, do you know the name of the fly? I swear it's there. It's almost the same color as the squirrel. It just keeps wanting to pop behind the squirrel. I'm trying to get the squirrel behind the feather. And cascades are beautiful. There we go. There we go. Well, that's gonna have to do, because I don't want to wreck the nice thing. There we go. It's a little bit bent now, but you know, that's what you get for poking it and poking it and poking it. She's beautiful though, eh? That is called a Golden Demon. Specifically Golden Demon Bucktail, even though it doesn't have any bucktail in it. There's another fly called the Golden Demon, so I think they just labeled it as bucktail to differentiate the two. That's a little bit odd because it doesn't actually have any bucktail in it. But I didn't name the thing, so we're gonna go with that. And we're gonna tie or put some head cement on here. That'll melt the wax and the lacquer on the thread. And then we'll put a nice shiny the thing with the stuff. Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy with that one. It turned out real well. Thank you. Appreciate that. Sometimes when tie flies like this, it's like, do I even want to fish that? It looks so good. I know I'm gonna trash it, or it's gonna get stuck in a tree. But that's exactly what we tie them for. It really is. I'm surprised you don't see this too as often, you know. There's a lot of flies that I find from older books, and a lot of times in the older books they don't even have pictures, right? They just have a list of materials and how they were tied in. Because I got lots of old books where it's just a written list of materials, and I'll tie one up and I'll just be like, wow, that is beautiful. Why is this not a popular fly? There we go. No, not yet, but I'm not using it today, so I'm not worried about it. That's true, trees need decorating. Wow, look how nice and shiny that head is. That's a shiny head. Alright, cool. Alright, we're gonna get rotation in here, and rotation and spiel, so just give me a moment. So on the vise today, we got ourselves a Golden Demon Bucktail. This one's tied on a size 2. It can be tied anywhere from an 8 all the way through to a 2, depending on the size and species of fish you're going for. It has a golden pheasant crest feather for the tail. The nice red phase around the shoulder of the pheasant works the best. The body is a flat gold tinsel ribbed with a fine uni tinsel in all oval uni tinsel. The hackle is an orange saddle hackle that's tied in as a beard in the throat. The wing is a brown, it can either be brown grizzly bear, which I don't have on me, or a red squirrel tail, which is what we use today. It has normally would have 2 jungle cock on either side for the eyes. In this case, we're using starling. And it was originally actually tied and dressed in New Zealand. It was brought over in different variations and used all up and down the Pacific coast for steelhead. It's a beautiful fly, it really is. It's got really nice color variations to it. And I'm definitely going to add a couple to my box. A wonderful little steelhead pattern. There we go. Yeah, we got a whole crew in here this morning. I'm gonna have a little bit of my tea here before we switch to the next fly, okay? Oh, that's good tea. Just Earl Grey this morning. There we go. Here, guys, I'll drop you a bunch of, I'll drop you some stars so you can jump for them. Yoshi likes to grab his stars. I'm just gonna give this another minute or two to dry up because the head's a little bit on the thick side. There you go, good job, Yoshi. Way to go, Rob. You're gonna take them all, Yoshi. Okay, let's get a... Oh, I need to grab me some more corks. I'm running out of corks here. Thankfully, there's many residents up here that enjoy their wine, so I do have a pretty good supply of corks from everyone. We're gonna pop you right in here. Yeah. There we go. And there's the ones we did up yesterday. Kind of similar idea with the patterns. I really like that red and orange mixed together. That's just fire. Like literally looks like fire. And the rusty orange thread. Those are awesome. I'm going to have to tie me up a whole bunch of those. So I think stripping those through the river in the spring and fall, they're going to be money. This guy's really nice too, though. He's a pretty fly. Hey, let's get another one going. You can stay over there and dry. Okay, I'm tying these on a size 2. These aren't the normal. Are these a 4? Sorry, I think these are 4. Did I say a 2? I think these are actually a 4. Thank you. Yeah, I'm partial to red. I don't know. If I have to choose any accent color, it's going to be red. Just for years of fishing, when something doesn't work, I go grab some red. Oh, sure, I would think so. The idea of those type of flies is you want to, they don't necessarily imitate, well, I guess it kind of imitates a small bait fish. But they don't necessarily imitate anything specific. What they're doing is they're trying to piss off, for lack of a better way to say it, the fish so that it has its aggressive instincts kick in and it will attack the fly, trying to keep it out of its red or just out of its territory. They get very territorial when they're going up, and if they're in an area where they're resting, or if they found an area that they think would make a good red, they're going to chase everything out of it, like big fish, little fish, anything that floats by, sticks, you name it. They're not going to put up with anything hanging out there. So we take that to our advantage, and we continue to upset them until they bite it. And that being said, that's just one aspect. I mean, there's many other ones that... Oh, that's too bad. These are really damaged bad. You can see how kinked those are, and right where I want them not to be. I'm gonna save this so I can use that. I can straighten it out with some steam. So it's not garbage, but it's definitely not gonna work for live fly tying. And again, this one's damaged. Wow, that bird must have really been scratching his shoulders. You can see this one's been damaged too, but we're gonna take this off, just the tip, and then I'll get the rest from the next feather. And the shoulder feathers here generally have a taper to them, almost always, like left, right, or up, down, depending on what part of the shoulder it came off, just because that part of the bird is not flat, right? It's curved. So you can use that to your advantage if you want to have like a slightly upturned tail, down, and what have you. But they're all going to be a little different. And that's also part of like the enjoyment of using natural materials, is every single one you grab is going to be different from the last. I'm going to have this facing down, if I can manage it, and then I'll have the next one facing up, and that'll hopefully fill the gap in. Yeah, who knows, like the bird lived its whole life, and remind me what GP is, wee man. There's too many acronyms that we can't recall what. Golden pheasant, is that what you're going for? Yeah, I'm lucky. I got lots of golden pheasant. I probably have a couple dozen skins, to be honest. I got enough to last me a lifetime, which I'm very grateful for. Okay, so we're going to tie that. I'm not going to tie these butts in yet. I am going to trim them a bit before we get the next one in here, though, because they're a little bit too long. Just to save myself the trouble. There we go. Yeah, I'm assuming you mean golden pheasant. It can be harder to come by. It seems to come and go in like little waves. I'm not really sure why. Thank you. Yeah, I kind of figured. I just thought I'd check in case it was something else I wasn't thinking of. Hey, K-Fish, did you do your stream last night, man? I was waiting for it. I saw your post, but I didn't see the stream. I ended up falling asleep, to be honest. I don't know if you did like a late stream or not. What time did you go on, if you did go on? I was waiting. I didn't see anything on your channel. So I apologize that I missed it. But I was planning on showing up. Just sleep out one it. Hopefully save the VOD and I can just check it out after. That would be great. Yeah, just gonna soft wrap the second clump up here. Yeah, I passed out maybe like 9:15 or something. I know. I'm getting freaking old. We had a good dump of snow, so I was doing a lot of snow shoveling, and then I had to take all my tires off the rear of my truck because I had a scraping sound, and it ended up just being a stupid rock that was stuck in the emergency brake. I'm sorry I missed that, man. Was that actually like your last stream, or was that just a joke on your part? Or is that the last stream until you're back to America or something? Yeah, we're just going to bind that down. Not super worried about getting it perfect right yet because we're going to be tying in the rib and the tinsel. Yeah, I'm okay with that tail. It's a little straighter. I'd like it to flare out a bit, but I'm not sure if it's going to. There we go. Yeah, if you save the VOD, man, I'll try and get it. I'll try and watch it later today while I'm at work. Where did my tinsel go? There it is. So this is, sorry for anyone that missed out the first fly. Uni French and medium gold. I kind of figured it was that, and I didn't want to push it too much, but I had to throw a smart ass comment in there. Thank you, Rob. Appreciate that. Hey, Maddie, good to see you, mate. Yeah, I kind of figured that's what it was. But you definitely had people on the fence there. You're gonna start a pitchfork fight. Okay, so we got our rib tied in. Now we need our gold tinsel. We got our flat gold tinsel here. I'm gonna cut off the tip so we got a nice angle to tie it in on. Yeah, I got the whole crew in here. I'm happy about that. Yeah, hopefully you and your family are getting healed up there, Maddie. Dealing with all that sucks. Really? That sucks. You still got to do a lot of snow removal too on top of all that, or are you taking some time off? Just kind of enjoying the snow removal videos, to be honest. It's easier when someone else is doing the work, you can watch it. Yeah, well, yeah, it's sliding around. Let's go throw some glue on there again. I'm just gonna throw some head cement on those wraps. I forgot to smooth this out, so I'm going to varnish this very slightly before I put the glue on, just to give myself a little bit of an edge. Because I did not even try to even that out, so we're probably gonna run into some issues, but such is life. We'll see how bad it is when I start wrapping. That'll at least give me a fighting chance. Aw, sick kids are... Having a sick kid sucks. There's nothing fun about that. Poor bugger. Oh, thankfully, knock on wood, we haven't had a bad sick in here in a while. Okay, we're just gonna be wrapping the gold tinsel down, trying to be mindful of that horrible point on the hook. Come on, buddy. Oh, just caught it there, dang it. That's okay. Well, that's surprisingly wrapped better than the last one, even though I didn't prep the body thread. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. Oh, and as I say that, it starts sliding forward. Come on, man. You were doing so well. Oh, that's good. I'm just going to bind it. If I can. Wow, that's slippy as all get out. Come on, man. There you go. $18 wow. Well, I know someone that has a fly tying playlist that is definitely longer than 18 hours. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah, me and the wife go to Arizona several times a year, and it's kind of the same thing. The last couple times we had so many like layovers and different airports we had to shuttle off to. It yeah, that's the thing, right? Like you just know it's just. I worked at an airport for like 15 years, and I can tell you the amount of filth that ends up in those things. People can be dirty little animals, that's for sure. But yeah, just keep up on the hand sanitizer, bring a couple masks if you're stuck next to someone that's hacking their lungs up. There we go, got the gold uni French tied in there as our rib. We just want a nice open rib on that. Nothing too crazy. And we're gonna tie in our beard here next. Not too worried about having that buried in, but I don't want it sticking out to catch the, yeah, that's sticking out a bit. Let's varnish it down, I'll color it. Even though it's plastic, it won't necessarily cut your thread, but it'll definitely, it's still sticking out. You can see it's, the cut point sticking out a little bit there. That's not that it's gonna, it's not like, traditional where it's gonna cut your thread, but when I'm trying to do my soft wraps, it can catch on that and stop it from tightening down as much. So I'm going to varnish that, and then I'll just color it black just so it's not gonna stand out. So I might not get enough thread wraps in that specific spot. There we go. Alright, so we're gonna do our beard now. I think we got enough length on this one. So what you're looking for whenever you're doing a beard is on your spay hackle, if you're using spay hackle, you can see the color change. Hopefully it's showing up on the camera where it's a little denser here, and then it's less dense up here. This is where all your wisp and your movement's going to come from the bottom. So you want to use the fibers that still have that. Well, it's not a bad habit if you do it all the time, and then it becomes a style. Right? So it's just your unique way of of casting. I'm gonna need a fair bit more of these fibers. As you go up, you're going to run into thinner and thinner fibers, so you'll need a bit more. Generally speaking, for a beard, you want about the gap height. So just give me a minute to gather enough here. But remember, if you get your hook out there and the fish take it, it doesn't matter how you got it out there at the end of the day. Yeah, refresher classes are good. There's a lot of good YouTube videos, but Problem with YouTube and casting, and one of the reasons I haven't done any casting stuff, but I'm sure I will at some point, is it's hard to relay the sight and the feeling of the cast over video. It really is. So it's really hard to help a new caster, and everyone casts completely differently. There's not two people that cast the same. So it's really hard to give advice on that unless you're actually watching the person casting. Because most of the time, when you're trying to improve your casting, you're doing like he said, you're trying to fix a personal quirk so that you can have a little more efficiency is really all you're trying to do. Okay, so we got quite a few there. Hopefully you guys can see them without me. I can't tip it much more than that or I'm going to spill them everywhere. But there we go. So we want basically about a gap height, and that's what I got now. Just took a little bit to gather that much. And it's okay if all the tips aren't perfectly lined up. It's actually better. You'll get a better looking beard if you have some kind of medium tips in there too, like halfway up. But you want to have it roughly about the point height and tied in right on top. So we'll do a soft wrap. Of course it did. There we go. A lot of places will have that whole, like, 30, 90-day price guarantee, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, who's going to remember to actually go back in with the receipt and get the difference? And I think that's why they do that. They know that most people aren't going to bother. If it's a big ticket item, though, you might. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that one. I do like mine to be a little more splayed out, but overall, I'm really happy with that one. It's pretty, it's orange. It's got a little bit of hipster in it, so I'm happy with that. Okay, now we move on to the dreaded squirrel. If I could do that without throwing my beard off, I'll be happy. There. Yeah, that did turn out. That's a nice little beard. And we already got our squirrel, so for those that missed it last time, squirrel! And it's got a beautiful banding color in it. That's what we're looking for, is this nice auburn that goes into a darker, almost black. That's what we're looking for this fly. You can take it from different parts of the tail too. If you want a little bit more on the black side, you can get more on the front here. Closer to the bottom, you'll get more of a mottled kind of gray look. This works really well for like nymph legs and such like that too, because it's got that beautiful mottled color to it. You can throw that in, like cut some off, throw it into some dubbing, throw it in a coffee grinder. It makes wonderful nymph dubbing if you want a really buggy looking nymph. No. What was I doing? Oh yeah, squirrel tail. Yeah, you can. I find like if you do the underneath, like you can pop a wrap under there, because you can do the same thing for your tail, and depending on the pattern, I'll do that. I'll put a couple thread wraps under the tail to hold it up. And if you're tying the same pattern over and over and you find that you do have that issue, it's a good idea to preemptively throw some wraps under there. The downside of that though is like you should be able to have the base where we tied the beard into It should be either conical enough, like in this shape, enough to splay it out, or at least flat enough that when you wrap your thread around it, the beard length, I wonder if I can do this without completely mucking up, but the beard angle and length is adjusted by the, let's see if I can do it, the tension on your thread. So right now I have low to medium tension, right? And then if I tighten it, see, I'm just gonna try and do this without popping it and wrecking the whole thing. But the more tension I add, you can see it's spreading out now, see? So a lot of that is actually controlled by thread tension on your last couple wraps and the thread tension on the wraps that are to this side. So like the thread over here isn't gonna matter much. The thread here is what's controlling how much that's flaring out. So it's a little bit of a combination of the landing pad that it's going on, or lack of a better word, I don't know if there is a term for where you're tying it in, the base that you're tying it to, the angle that base is on, and then the last couple wraps that you put on that. The same goes for the wing too, same thing, just in reverse. But it's controlled by those 2 points, and that's why I was commenting on, I hope I don't mess this up when I'm tying the wing in, because if I bring my thread wrap too close, you can see it's going to completely muck that up. But I need to be as close as I can, so even just one thread length over, if I can get it to do it, because I want it to do it, there we go. So even just one thread length over will drastically change, see, how much tension I can put on that, and it's not moving the... Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I don't know if there's an actual, there must be an actual fly tying term for it. I'm sure there is. I'm just not familiar with what that is. I like calling it like the landing, the base, what have you. But the base and the tension of your thread has a lot more to do, because you got to remember that all you're doing by putting that thread underneath there is you're just changing the angle of your base by one thread height, right? And it's a good way to save yourself if you made a mistake or something, or your landing is just all cattywampus because you had trouble tying in whatever it was before it. And there's nothing wrong with little tricks like that to save yourself and make the fly look pretty. That's what it's all about. Okay, so we want this to land about halfway on the tail, right? About, yeah, right about there. Okay, so I'm going to try and get this soft wrap up, like I said. I want to bring it back down as close as I can to where that beard's tied in, but not being a point where it's going to interrupt the beard. And just pull it right down. Oh, short? Yeah. I think I set it for 8. Thank you. I appreciate that, guys. There we go. That's maybe like a hair thinner than the last one, but still a good looking wing. I'm going to lose a few. I just realized I got a few shorter fibers in there. So now I can walk my thread back a bit. I don't want to walk it all the way, because I still want to cut off. I want to have some flexibility in it for adjusting it before I cut the front, but I just want enough wraps. I normally go for like a bodkin to 2 bodkin for wraps there just to hold it, especially with squirrel. It's so squirrely. This side here is just a little bit off. So I probably didn't have my finger as tight on that side. Overall, that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. Okay, so once we got it to the point where we're happy, which hopefully we are, then we can grab this. I want to try and get all your fibers up around it. And we're going to cut on a 45-degree angle back. We're 807 here. Whew, okay, this is the hard part, because if you pull too hard on it, it's just going to slide, but we don't want it to move. We just want to lift this up. There we go. Well, I missed some, but I got most of it. And then just cut on an angle. There we go. Well, that wasn't as pretty a cut as I wanted it to be, but I'll make it work. I'm not really sure why that didn't cut as nice as it could have. That's okay. As long as the eye is clear. Yeah, it might not be an Instagram flying at this point, but I'm going to throw that drop of super glue on it. I really got to clean that up first, though. There's too much sticking down here. Shouldn't really have any down there. I'm not sure why it spun to the lower part. Shouldn't have done that. Really? Yeah, well, that's Canada for you. I'm surprised we're not dark already. We're still getting dark around like 4 or 5 o'clock. Okay. I'm gonna have to tie that in because it's just gonna keep sliding. This has already moved down a fair bit, so let's get some super glue on there. I'm gonna preemptively plug my eye hole with this guy. Thinking ahead, thinking ahead. We're gonna shake this up a little bit so we can get the thicker stuff on the bottom up. That was a little bit on the thin side last time. Yeah, that bottle's really flowing glue like no one's business. Let's see, I got a chunky. Here. I'm gonna sacrifice this black one here. If you got an old hackle feather kicking around, it doesn't matter if it's soft hackle, just any feather, you can pull it through here. That'll try and grab a lot of that extra glue. Black, sticky, black. Downside of super glue is it gets freaking everywhere. There we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna let that set for a minute. Shouldn't take too long, and then we'll start binding it down. So it's gonna be a little bit. It's gonna be a little bit on the uglier side because I'm gonna have a little bit of hairs coming out the front that I'm just not gonna be able to comfortably deal with without having to slip. Freezing fog is kind of cool, if not creepy as all get out. We get that here too. I think it's, I don't know if the actual term is like hoarfrost. Not to throw the H word out there, but I think that's the term for it. Oop, did I get a little too close to that beard? I may have. Yeah, I did. There we go. There we go. That's better. Alright, let's get those starling feathers trimmed up. There's a nice one. Just gonna strip each side. They're pretty little feathers. I mean, these actually make really cute little soft hackle wraps if you're tying small stuff. Like if you're getting into like the 12s, 18s and stuff like that. These make neat little black soft hackle wraps. Come on, fingers, grab the little things. There we go. Tiny little thing. There we go, we got one. I'm not going to tie it until I get the other one so I can kind of match the size on them. Background music just kind of make me feel like Mission Impossible or something. Woodcock is awesome. Woodcock is nice stuff. So many things you can do with it. There we go. I got the two there. They're close enough, I'd say. The other downside of pulling this off of, like, I just have a bag of loose feathers that I got from another fly tire. But the downside of pulling these guys off is, or from a loose bag, is you can't necessarily get, like, you gotta really look in the bag to get something that's you know, matching. Oh, that super glue is sticky as all get out. Black. Not a fan. I don't need to use it. I don't like to use it, but in this case, what are you gonna do? That didn't really sit the way I wanted to. Let's do that again. Come on, buddy. Find a nice little happy home and just stay there. Well, it's not. He's not doing what I want him to do. Hey, you're gonna go on the other side. You're gonna go on the back of the short bus with the other misbehaving feathers. And your friend's gonna take your place because he's a nice feather and he's gonna do what we want. Or not. Ugh, getting way too much thread here. Let's chunk that up a bit. One thing to keep in mind too that I just remembered that I've had this problem. Oh my gosh. Dude, just lay flat like the other ones. There we go. Yeah, there you go. Now that's decent enough anyway. I'll just, I'll make that work because he's being a little toot. That might be the best I get out of him. There we go. That's not horrible though. They're curved in too, so normally you don't really have much of a problem getting them to sit where you want them because they do have a natural inward curve on them. I probably don't have a good enough base. It's probably 90% my problem. There we go. Okay, I'll take that. That's close enough. We'll go with that. This fly would actually look really nice with a like a golden ginger kind of soft hackle too. I should actually do some of those up. Just see what they look like with like just a very light. You wouldn't see these cheeks really anymore, but come on, boy. There we go. Alright, well, let's make that head look like a head. We got a lot of thread to build up in the middle here. I was being a lot more mindful about my thread usage on this one because I was getting too overzealous on the first one. But we ended up with a lot of extra playing room. There we go. How are we looking on your guys' side? Yep. Still got a little bit of squirrel sticking out the bottom there, but I don't think I can do much about that. And I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, so we'll do 2 half hitches and then whip finish this guy off. Beautiful like fly as far as all the colors go. Get that really nice kind of orange gradient going on. That's all natural materials. That's another nice thing. Well, besides the... Did my beard lose it? Oh, that sucks. Boop. Boop. There. Good enough. It was a beautiful beard for a while there, though. I probably got one thread wrap a little too close. Well, that's the problem with the wing. You can always tie the wing first and then the beard after, too, if you have a lot of issues with that. There's nothing saying that you have to do the beard first. It's just generally your overwing is going to give you a little more trouble. Yeah, I'm happy with that, though. Everything's nice and flat on top. It's nice and symmetrical. The little eye wings are being a pain in the butt, but what are you gonna do? Alright, let's get the super glue away before I glue my fingers together. Scary stuff, that. If you ever do get super glue on yourself, acetone actually works okay to kind of dissolve it if you're quick enough. Don't use alcohol. Alcohol will make it set like instantly. So if you actually ever need to make super glue set instantly or really quickly, it's almost instant. Just add a drop of 99 or 70% proof alcohol. It'll turn white and almost instantly dry. It's a catalyst for the chemical reaction to dry the super glue. Okay, we're just gonna let that sit here for a second. Soak in. I'm still happy with that guy. I think he's good. I don't know if he's better than the first one. He's kind of on par there. I could have made the head maybe a little more bulbous. We'll see how it looks here when we get some shine on it. I think a lot of people are trying to use it as a disinfectant when it's not. Technically it will disinfect things, but you couldn't buy, like, I know it took me 3 months of looking, and I was looking just to get some bleach, and all I could find when I did find bleach was this gelled bleach in a little bottle, and it was like a little Clorox. I don't know, it was maybe like 1.5 liters, if that. And I still have the dang thing because I haven't used it. Well, I did use it. We used it for cleaning and disinfecting, but and I paid like, I think I paid like $27 or something for like 1 liter of bleach when before you used to be able to buy jugs of it. I ended up getting some bleach from a pool supply place, like a Shock, and we used that for a while. Cause yeah, for the life of me, you couldn't get certain cleaning products or disinfecting products for nothing. Hey, actually the head looked pretty good on that once we got her all shined up. I'm quite happy with that. So I do my little spin and spiel here. And here we have a Golden Demon Bucktail. This is tied on a size 2. You can tie it through from an 8 all the way up to a 2. It has golden pheasant crescent feathers, feathers around the shoulders and the neck. For the tail, it has a flat gold tinsel body ribbed with gold uni-French oval tinsel. With the hackle up front, it has an orange saddle hackle tied in as a nice bearded throat. The wing is a red squirrel tail, and the cheeks are tied in. Instead of jungle cock, we used a starling feather on each side. It was originally dressed from New Zealand and became very popular with different variations used up and down the Pacific coast, mostly for steelhead, but it also works great for salmon and sea run cutthroat and other trout variations in the area. Beautiful little fly though, wonderful little thing. There we go. I'm happy with those two guys. Thanks for joining me. Had a good time. We had a lot of new people and all of the old crew in. I also just want to thank everyone for stopping in. I fully appreciate your guys' viewership. So I'll do a quick shout out if I can manage to get everyone. We got Jack Pepper, we got Trudge. Hey, thanks mate. I appreciate that. Thanks Maddie. You got my little goal. I fully appreciate that, man. Thank you for that. We got Maddie. It was just nice enough to donate a super chat for us for £2. Thanks. We got Ewaz, we got Wee Man, we got Robert. We got Yoshi Bay Fishing. We got Muddy. We got Trudge. Who am I missing here? Thank you. We got Jack Pepper. We got K-Fish if he's still around. Oh, I know I'm missing a bunch. We got Wee Man. I gotta scroll like way up here. It's been a lot of chatting today. We got Matt. Yeah, Matt came in for a bit there. I don't know if he's still here, but if he is, thanks, Matt. Oh, wow, we had quite a lengthy chat here. We got Just Casual Fisher. We got... Where'd he go here? I was just looking at his name. He had to pop in and out. My bad. Doug! That's what I was looking for. Doug, we got show flies. And I think that's everyone. Cool. So you guys all have a good morning. Thanks for hanging out with me. Always a pleasure, guys. I'll see you tomorrow morning.